Hey everyone, so in today's video, I actually have my last makeup bag of the year. I think this time of the year for makeup is really fun and interesting because I would say a lot of us are very busy with like the holiday season, so we want really quick makeup, but then there are also these like special occasions where some of us like to do a little something extra. So this makeup bag really reflects that. I'm really happy about this makeup bag. And honestly, I think you guys might be surprised by some of the products that I've been using and some of the techniques. So I did film also like all the makeup products going onto my face. You guys know I always like to try and do those demos for you all. So I wanted to do that. As a whole, I really hope that you all enjoy it. And if you're not subscribed already, I would love to have you back. And by the way, there's still a lot of you that follow my content and watch a lot of my videos but aren't subscribed. I think almost half my viewers are not subscribed, so I would love to have you back. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy it. And shall we jump into what is going on my face? So I think I'm gonna go in order. I think that just makes the most sense for this video. Here we go. Oh, and by the way, this is the Say makeup bag. I use a lot of makeup bags. I have a lot of makeup bags. A lot of makeup bags are sent to me. But I gotta tell you that this is one of the absolute best quality makeup bags I have ever used. It's really cute. It goes out pretty wide so you can still see everything in here. And it doesn't get dirty really easily. It's like easy to clean, I've found. But anyway, so let's dive into what I first apply onto my face these days. Here's the thing, I am going for a little bit more of a perfected look this time of year, or I've just been noticing that I'm going and leaning towards that. So my base products are a little bit more on the satin side. However, this product, and I've been using it, it's almost out. There's like a little bit, I already have a backup upstairs of this item, but this has been my chosen skincare and skin prep. I use it in my skincare routine, and if I do my skincare routine and then I don't do my makeup until later, I always go back in and apply a little bit of this onto the face before I put on foundation. It's the Rhode Glazing Milk, the Ceramide Facial Essence. I didn't know how good the Rhode line would be until I tried it, and honestly, I didn't really expect much. Just gotta be honest here. This essence is by far one of the best skincare products I have ever used. It is so luxurious on the skin. It immediately imparts this beautiful radiance. It's incredibly soothing. It adds a glow and a bounce to the skin, and definitely a more like glazed glass skin effect, but it's not a really sticky, emollient, slip all over the face kind of item. It does sink into the skin and it almost leaves this like touch of a bounce that helps makeup kind of stick better onto the skin. It is one of those items that I found myself, like I went through half of it, and by the time I was going through half of it, I was already anticipating not wanting to be without it. And when I don't use it, I notice. So for me, that makes for a really beautiful standout product. I think Rhode did a really excellent job with this one. I also love their moisturizer. I like their peptide lip cream. I think the glazing pump fluid, or I forget what that one's called, I think that one's really good too. Just really good skin loving, like hydrating, gentle products that I find my skin really likes this time of year. So that's my first step for skin prep. And then I'll go in with one of two foundations. The foundation I'm wearing on my skin today it's actually Skin Tint. It's the Beauty Blender Bounce Skin Tint. The reason I really love this one, and I've been reaching for it a lot this time of year, is that it's more of a satin finish, so it kind of has this really pretty perfected feel. It also has a medium coverage, so I'm finding that I get a really quick, perfected look with this one. It has a beautiful blur, but on the skin, it really does not look like a lot of heavy makeup. I think that this is an incredibly underrated foundation item, and I wish more people knew about it and would try it. One of my favorite parts about it though is how beautifully it wears. Always impressed that this wears so beautifully throughout the day that I find myself like, 6 hours in looking at my face and being like, wait a second, the coverage is staying where I need it to, especially this time of year. I feel like I'm touching and like blowing my nose more often, and in general, there's just a lot of things that can go wrong between dry skin, between separating around the nose, between touching my face. If I want something that is going to look natural, blur the skin, while also offering a lot of coverage and actually lasting, I'm reaching for this. This is a very beautiful one. And I like that you could also like sheer it out. Like it is nice to have a medium coverage because you can sheer it down or obviously get something with a little more coverage. But if I'm not reaching for that one, I am reaching for this Bosma stick foundation. I pulled this back out on a whim. Every time I wear it, I'm like, why do I not wear this more? I have found that like when I'm dealing with like I want quick makeup, I'll always go for this. And I think again, like, you know, this time of year, I'm kind of pulled between a couple of different looks. I want something a little bit more polished, and then sometimes I'm just like, I gotta get the makeup on the face because I am very far behind with all the things that I need to do. I find this to be a pretty perfect makeup item. Like I really would not change much about it at all because the formula like really blends so seamlessly on the skin, but it's also not one of those really slippy, glidey foundation items that, you know, like the Hourglass Stick Foundation, for example. Like that is beautiful. It'll give you a really beautiful finish, but it is pretty slip slidey. This has a little bit more grip to it, and I love that you can build up the coverage, really customize it, add a little bit more as concealer to like spot conceal. I like that it stays where you place it, but it's also very blendable. This shade for me, by the way, 036 is a really good shade match. I highly recommend it. Now, as far as concealers, I'm kind of leaning a couple ways. So I do like color correct occasionally. I don't find that I really need to do too much color correction when I'm using the Tire 28 Serum Concealer, and I've been using that one almost every day. But if I want to go a little bit more glam, again, I will go in with something like the Say Hydra Beam. I know they also are offering like 50% off this concealer right now. I wanted to give it a mention because I'm always getting comments about like, how do I color correct or what products I use for color correction. I often use a color correcting shade in a concealer formula that I already really love, rather than necessarily going for a designated color corrector. This formula, for example, I think layers really beautifully, and I think that it pairs really well with more of a medium coverage concealer, which I think your concealer should be doing more work than the color corrector necessarily. That's at least the way that I kind of do things. This is the shade HB2 from Say, and again, it's quite peachy, and I just find that under my eyes, it does a really good job of canceling out any blueness that I have. And I know that a lot of folks tend to feel like their eyes are a little bit more tired or sunken or a little bit more blue when you're rushing around and you have a hectic time, which I feel like it's a little bit hectic right now. So yeah, I think that this one is really, really beautiful. And then the Tire 28 concealer, this is the shade CC. It is absolutely epic. It's just one of the best concealers I've ever used. And like preview, Best of Beauty, that concealer will be in Best of Beauty. If there is someone in your life that is still using like a really heavy duty, full coverage, insane concealer, please recommend this to them. Because I just feel like for folks that love coverage but want something more natural, you're gonna really jive with this because you don't need a lot of this. It is pretty intense and so spreadable and beautiful. Now, as far as like face and cheek products, I have been using a powder bronzer recently. In specific, this one from L'Oreal, the Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Bronzer. This is one of my favorite affordable products of all time. This is the shade Fair 200, and it is such a beautiful shade. It's really good for my neutral skin, but the reason I really love this one is it can be built up slowly. It's very finely milled and doesn't want to go choppy at all. Like the formula is better than some of the high-end powder bronzers on the market, like by a long shot. You know, I often find that I think luxury brands or more expensive brands think that you have to add a ton of pigment to your bronzer, but that is often what I think makes certain bronzers go muddy. Like, I think that you can dial in the pigmentation in order to have it all, and I think L'Oreal has done that. And also, you can specialize or, I mean, customize your brush that you use with powders to get more coverage without having to add a ton of pigment into the specific product. And I find that that actually gives you more control and gets you a better, more seamless look. So for example, the bronzer brush that I used today is this one from BK. It's the 101. This is pretty dense, but it is angled. So what you can do is kind of take it and stamp the product on, and you're still gonna get a really beautiful, seamless blend while also kind of amping up the coverage a little bit, going for a little bit more structure. It is certainly a really, really beautiful one. Highly recommend that one. But as far as blush, I feel like sometimes I just want a blush that's gonna go with everything. This time of year is really pretty for a little bit more of a berry tone. So like Benetint from Benefit is a really beautiful way to go. I have been finding that Hope from Rare Beauty, and I'm gonna try and leave a gift set. I feel like this could be in a gift set, but if not, I gotta tell you, it is one of the best shades, I think, out of all the Rare Beauty blushes, because it really goes with everything. It's both neutral, but adds enough of a pop. I feel like there's a warmth to it on the skin. I don't know, it's not too mauvey though. So I just find it to be something that kind of goes with everything. It's a blush shade that you can throw on, and you're not gonna have to worry about it really clashing with your eyes or your lips, and sometimes you just don't want to worry about it, you know what I mean? So, and also the formula is freaking fantastic. Smoothing, it adds like a glow to the skin without it disrupting makeup. I think that it's a cult favorite for a reason, and I've felt that way for a while. Next, I think this might be a surprise for some of you. I've been using some powder. It's not always my jam, but I gotta tell you, this powder from Rare Beauty has also been really treating me well. Typically what I'm doing is taking a little bit onto the chin. I'll even like set the under eyes a little bit, like I did that today. I set the forehead a touch, but you can see there's still luminosity to my skin, and also I have a highlight on my cheeks, so I'll talk about that in a second. That's also a new that's a new development. Then I'm getting back into using this highlight, and I think it's really beautiful. But anyway, this is the shade Light. I just take a sponge and like press it into the skin. My face doesn't look powdered when I have this on. It just makes me want to wear it because it makes my makeup last even longer. It takes down the shine without flattening out the makeup, without adding another crumbly layer. And you know how sometimes like when your makeup goes cakey, like literally the description of cakey, feeling like you have like a creamy look to your skin in a really unflattering way, and then like that powdered texture right on top, and the two just don't jive. A bad powder or a bad foundation will do that. They just won't want to melt into each other. This does such a beautiful job of melting into the products that you already have on your face. And both of these foundations also do a really good job of being powdered. They don't mind being powdered at all, which is really important. And also another side note, I can apply this on top of powdered skin. So I think what is really important to me with makeup a lot of times is finding these products that are really easy to get along with. They want to get along with each other. And I think it takes some time to perfect your routine, perfect a makeup bag, but those products that are really easy to get along with a lot of different kinds of formulas, those always end up being products that I recommend to you all for a long time. Before we get into the highlight, I do have a palette that I've been using, and it's upstairs, so I need to go grab that. All right, so this is the palette. It is one that I just talked about, I think, in my preview of Best of Beauty 2023. But listen, it actually is back in stock now, which I'm really happy about because I know some of you guys were saying it was out of stock, but it is back in stock. I'll leave a link down below. But Lorac, the Pro Palette Noir. If you are a fan of these really beautiful glossy eye looks, but you want good impactful mattes as well, this really gives you everything for under $40. It is one of those palettes that I feel really passionately about because I think it's so underrated. I think there are a lot of palettes that are coming out that the sparkles just look so flat on the eyes. These shimmers just are so wet but thin, so you're able to create these really beautiful looks that kind of feel like second skin sparkles. You know, those really wet sparkles that I often find need a thinner texture, but they're also not chalky or too powdery. They want to go onto the eyes. Like, really, the balance of these, I think, is pretty special. It takes someone, not to toot my own horn, but I try a lot of wet looking sparkles on my channel. I have a lot of experience with different formulas. I think at first glance you could be like, oh, these are really pretty. But if you've tried kind of the breadth of wet looking sparkles, you understand that there are a lot that have really incredible fallout or don't want to layer really well or don't play well with other products. These just have it all. And the reason I have this in my makeup bag at the moment is this can be like the everyday palette, because typically what I'll do is just take this shade into the crease and then use this dark brown as like a winged liner situation and then call it a day for like an everyday look. But I also have the wide range of beautiful sparkles. And by the way, not all of these are glossy. These two are glossy, this one's glossy, this one's glossy, this one's glossy, and then some of them are just more like pretty metallics. I really want to try out this kind of purpley shade. I haven't tried that one out much, but you can still see this is a pretty well-loved palette in my collection. It is bonkers beautiful. I really love it. Could not recommend it enough. I think it's one of the best out there. But I also wanted to mention, I've been getting a lot of questions about tools and like my liner looks, like the smoky liner thing that I do. I really owe it a lot to these matte shadows in the Lorac palette. I also do this with like other matte shadows in my other palettes. But the BK208 brush is by far one of the best brushes I have ever used. If I lost this today, I would immediately repurchase it. And also if they decided to discontinue it, I'd purchase a few, is all I'm gonna say. It makes eyeliner go on so smoothly. If you use powders to get more of a soft effect, the best way I can describe it is that it makes you feel more professional. Like, I just feel like my makeup looks turn out so much more crisp when I am using this opposed to other eyeliner brushes. I feel more confident in my abilities. It's a really stunningly beautiful one. It's incredibly soft as well, and I find that oftentimes eyeliner brushes can be really stiff. This has a perfect flexibility with enough stiffness to actually get the product on smoothly, but it won't irritate your eyes. I also have like the thin skin around the eyes. Some of these brushes people are coming out with, they're so like harsh on the skin. This is beautiful. Like, it's not something that's gonna irritate the skin. Now, as far as mascara goes, this one's probably not gonna be a surprise, but I've been using the Tower 28 Make Waves mascara just for a little bit more of a wide awake effect. It's a classic. And I do find that I've been getting comments about like what like fake lashes I'm using, and I pretty rarely use fake lashes, like maybe like twice a year. And when I'm getting those comments, it's when I'm usually using this mascara. So take with that what you will. I think it's really beautiful. I highly recommend it. I'll leave a link down below to that and all the products I'm talking about. But let's talk about this highlight, because I really have not used a ton of highlight this year, but I pulled this back out and wow, it's beautiful. It's the Hollywood Glow Glide Face Architect highlight, and this is the Moonlit Glow shade. It does such a beautiful job of adding that structure to a look. It adds this beautiful softness and, again, like a light reflection quality to the skin that makes the whole look feel just a little bit more glamorous, but also there's a restraint to it. There's an elegance to this highlight. When I'm looking straight on, I don't notice that weird differentiating line between the other products on my skin and the highlight, which I think can look really jarring on the skin. It only really shows itself when you kind of tilt the head, and that often means that the formula has enough translucence to it. It doesn't have a really strong base pigment, which some do, and then they can look a little bit stripey on the skin. This one does not have that. This was a product that released earlier this year, and I'm really glad that to round out the year, I'm pulling it back out and using it. A couple of housekeeping items that I have had in my makeup bag before I jump into like the lip color that I'm wearing, which I'm honestly really pumped about, and I am so glad that I pulled it out for like this time of year, because it's like, for me, this is the perfect understated like ruby red. Okay, but before we get into that, I want to mention, because I get a lot of comments or questions about my sponges that I use. I use the Paw Paw sponges on Amazon. I'll leave a link down below to them because you get like 10 for like 10 bucks. They are something that I am always repurchasing. They're so soft, and I just have found that out of a lot of like really grippy, like harsh sponges, or sponges that are too soft and like they feel like they never go dry, this is like the perfect balance, and it's also super affordable. Like for 10 bucks you get 10, like that's really hard to beat, and I always repurchase them. So I wanted to make sure that I recommended that one in specific, because 9 times out of 10, if I'm using a sponge, it's probably that one. So I'll leave a link down below to it. It looks pretty gross right now because it is. I really gotta wash that one. For lip prep, I've either been using the Fenty Plush Puddin', which I initially was not like really impressed with, but I have been trying it more lately, and it's really good. I also gotta tell you, I love the packaging. The fact that it's a twist up and then you take just the right amount from the top of it rather than sticking your finger in the entire jar. This is way more hygienic. I also have been finding that in the past, like it didn't do much for my lips, or I felt like it wasn't, but these days my lips really get along well with it. I think that this is a really good lip balm, and also it's like a lip balm that feels luxurious enough for like a gift. Like this would be a really nice gift, like a really good lip balm gift. But if I'm not using this to prep the lips, honestly, this kind of goes a lot with my skincare routine as well. But this is also a beautiful lip prep product. The Thornbite Peptide Plump Lip Oil. This is just the rose dew, so it's more of like a clear, but oftentimes I find that this does a good job of plumping up the lip lines, kind of going over any like textural issues I have going on with my lips, which this time of the year, honestly, actually, I gotta give myself some credit. Usually this time of the year, my lips are way worse, way worse. Somehow they're not. And I think it really does have something to do with these two items. Great to prep for, I think, like other lipsticks, because it isn't like a full-on lip mask the way that the Plush Pudding is. This will kind of sink down into the lips, but also offer enough of like a glide to the lips when you go into your lip products. As for lip items that I'm wearing today, I put on the Pillow Talk Lip Cheat. It's just like, it's a classic, guys. When I need a lip liner to throw into my bag for like the next couple of weeks, like, you know, when I'm not trying out new products, I go back to my makeup bag for like those fast makeup looks. Almost always one of the liners are in there from Charlotte Tilbury, either Iconic Nude or Pillow Talk, because they're just good. They're just really, really good. But I actually pulled out this little mini from Bobbi Brown that I hadn't used. It's their crushed lip color, and in specific, this is a mini of the shade Ruby. I am so glad I pulled this out. If you're not familiar with this formula, it is like the perfect juncture between more of a stiff lipstick and like a blotted lip. It feels more comfortable than I think a lot of blotted lips do. Also, by the way, it's a stiff lip product. It's not like a slippy silicone one. So if you want more of this blotted lip look to feel a little bit more secure, this is a really beautiful option. I think that the crushed lips from Bobbi Brown are one of the most underrated lipstick formulas. I think they're fantastic. I love the shade Cocoa. I love the shade Telluride. I mean, this shade is absolutely beautiful. It is just one of those lip formulas. You can like build it up, but you can also like make it more of like an approachable kind of sheer lip product. I think the secret is in the formula. It just, the way it's a little bit stiffer, it sinks into the lips in this way that feels and looks really effortless without being drying. And I also love that it's a pointed bullet, which some lip products, a lot of people are going for the round thing now. I think a pointed applicator can help you get a little bit more precise It's so lightweight on the lips without feeling drying. It's just a beautiful one. And I love the shade Ruby. Beautiful. Lastly, it's the Airbrush Flawless Setting Mist from Charlotte Tilbury. It's so good to make all of my makeup last longer, but it also does a really beautiful job of not drying out my skin. So it'll mattify, it'll make things last longer, but it's not going to dry it out. Great fine mist. And I have found in particular, I remember I put this on, put my sister onto this product, and she was like, listen, my makeup wasn't lasting, and then I started incorporating this into my routine, and I noticed a significant difference, which at the end of the day, that's what you need. You need a setting mist that is really going to actually help the longevity and not just make your face look nice when you like apply it or make it feel nice going on, which those products are great too, but this is definitely more of a you want something that really works kind of item. I think it's definitely worth the investment. That, my friends, is everything that I had in my little winter makeup bag. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you again so much for being here. I'll leave all of the products that I talked about today down below, and I'll see you all in my next one.